Hey there, fellow cyclists, and welcome back. And I hope you're taking advantage of recent good weather and do a lot of riding. As you might know, I have been riding this velo build for quite some time now, and I have been contemplating the idea of switching to a 1x front chainring setup. And I have seen SRAM for offering a good range of 1x option, ranging from 36T to a 50Ts. And it gives me wondering to this type of setup, would it work for my riding style? To explore this option further, I purchased a fairly inexpensive 46T chainring. In the later part of this video, I'll delve deeper into what attracted me to the 1x setup and discuss some gear ratio consideration. But before I do that, I thought I should set some expectation to myself. I'm planning to ride this setup to about 2 to 3 weeks to get some good hands-on experience before providing you further comment. During this time, I will cover a variety of commute, participating in group ride, and do some challenging hill repeats training. By doing this, I'll be able to determine if the 1x setup truly works for my riding style and determine whether I'll be keep it for good. While 1x is very common in mountain bikes and gravel, it is still a minority for roadies. So let's dive into why I decided to explore this 1x setup for my road bikes. And in fact, there is actually 3 reasons that attracted me to this idea. So let's break them down. Firstly, it would be a lighter and simpler setup, which is the biggest factors for me. The last time I weighted this velo build, it weighed 7.7 kilograms. By switching to a 1x setup, I can remove a few components, reducing the overall weight. This including removing the front derailleur, which is about 80 grams, the gear cable, which is about 20 grams, and then lastly, probably the most significant, is changing the double chainring into a single one, saving about 100 grams. And altogether, I'm looking at a weight saving of about 200 grams. And now you might be thinking, was like, all this work for just 200 grams? Well, yes, as a cyclist, we know that every gram counts, particularly towards the lighter end. And when you add up all this small saving, it could make a notable difference in the bike handling. The second reason I want to explore this 1x setup is to eliminate chain rub. If you have been riding the bike with a front derailleur, you would know that you need to trim that as you shift the gear in the back. And I'll be honest, I'm not the best at keeping with the trimming, and it can lead to annoying chain rub. By removing the front derailleur altogether, I eliminate the possibility of the chain rub entirely. It is a small but probably quite a significant convenience that I'm quite looking forward to. Lastly, let's talk about sprocket rear. In my current setup, the last 5 sprockets, which is the lower gears, are on aluminium. While the 7075 aluminium is a durable metal, it is not the most hard wearing. So if you have been following my channel, you might see the full review of this cassette. If not, you can click the card on the top right hand side corner and check it out. On the other hand, the top 7 sprockets are made of steel, which is quite durable. So by moving it from a 52T chainring to a 46T chainring, I can shift most of the load to the steel sprocket. This in turn should prolong the lifespan of the cassette and reduce the need of a frequent replacement. Now, one of the biggest concerns when making this type of choices in potentially losing the gear range. We'll take a deeper look with the number. Now, before the change, my current setup is a semi-compact 5236 front chainring with a 1132T cassette. Now, since installing the 1132 cassette, I haven't been really using the 36T front chainring at all. And even with the 1130T cassette that I have set up previously, I didn't quite find I used the biggest sprocket with the 36T front. So compare the gear ratio. The top gear of this current setup with 5211 give me a ratio of 4.73, which means that every turn that you turn the crank, the wheel turns 4.73 times. On the other hand, at the bottom gear, 39-32 combination, that gives me a ratio of 1.22. Now swapping out the 2x setup with the 46T chainring, that will give me a top range of 4.18 ratio and the bottom with 1.44. Now this is important to note that even with the 1x setup, the 4.18 top gear ratio will still allow me to achieve a top speed of 43 kilometers per hour, which is about 27 miles per hour, at a cadence of 80 RPM. Now, during my training session and daily commute, I rarely find myself exceeding 40 kilometers per hour. So yes, by switching it to a 1x setup, I'm giving up some gear range in favor of a lighter and simpler setup. However, based on riding style and typical riding condition, this type of gear range should provide me with enough the need without really sacrificing the overall performance. So let's hope this is the case. So let's dive into equipment of choice and the installation process. And to be honest, I have to consider my budget and the fact that this is probably a try and error process. I don't want to invest in a lot of money without knowing whether that will work for me or not. And this is where I turn to an online marketplace like AliExpress to find a suitable chainring for a portable price. After some browsing, I stumbled across this 4060 chainring that seems to tick all the boxes for less than $30 Australia. So which also including the tax and delivery. So what I'm getting for this type of money? First, the chainring is designed for the RF direct mount, which means that I don't need a spider to attach it. This simplifies the installation process and gives a bike the cleaner look. Then secondly, the chainring is made of 7075 aluminium with an anodized surface. The durability is not the strength, but the lightweight and the affordable price is, making it a perfect choice. Lastly, the chainring features a plus and minus tooth design. It means that the teeth comprise a thicker and thinner sections. It's designed to engage the chain and different spacing interval. Now, some claims this type of design would reduce chain wear and provide a much more secure engagement. While I can't personally confirm this claim, it is definitely an interesting feature that might have its own benefits. Now, with the installation is complete, I'm now ready to put the 1x setup to test over the next few weeks. I'll be examining its performance in various riding conditions, including some commute, group rides, and hill repeats. So let's see if the gear range reduction would be sufficient and would be the lightweight setup will override the potential drawback. Alright, probably doesn't do the justice in here, but you probably can see in the back it's a little bit uphill. That actually is the steepest road that I can find in town. According to the map, it is average 14.5 gradients over 250 meters. So I'll go up and see if I can use the bike and hope I survive. I guess it doesn't look that bad until you actually need to go up. So I'm on the lightest gear and I'm out of the saddle now. Granny gear, 14%, 14 and a half. Going uphill, doesn't need to do stick set just yet. Ooh. But now I'm doing 370, 380 watts. Slowly grinding up. Oh god, definitely harder. That took a lot of my energy out, but I managed to do 2 reps. I don't think I should attempt the third one because I'm feeling heart attack is coming. But it's good. It's good to let the gear get me out. Not too sure I can keep doing this. We'll try the next one. Alright, it's very early in the morning. Just got up. We'll try to get changed and go for a group ride. I'll let you know, see if the 1x setup works in a group ride. It was a beautiful day with a bunch of friends who share a passion of cycling. This ride covered a total distance of 55 kilometers in just over 2 hours.
The cassette range was well used during this ride, and the most common sprocket I used were the 5th to the 11th gear. I didn't find the need to use the first 3 gears on this particular ride, but I still prefer to have them just in case. It is always better to be prepared for any situation anyway. I was able to push myself on a sprint where I used the 11 sprockets gear. I was able to hit a top speed of 47.2 km per hour with a cadence of 117. Although I didn't use this gear that often, it definitely come handy for some flat sprints and the downhill stretches.
So far, 1 week down, no issue. I get all these gears that I want. I can actually match the cadence. By the way, most of my ride, when I'm looking at it closely, my cadence is between 80 to 90, I would say. 85 to 88 will be my typical cadence that I aim for once it's cruising. So I've been able to use the mix of maybe the 5th to probably 10 gears the most to maintain the cadence that I need. Alright, now going a bit uphill, I'm all settled. Just give it a little bit of push, get over the red light, and then that should be a long strip of descent. And then I can use the top end of the gear to get to a good speed. Now I'm doing like 80 and 91 rev up, PM 96, keep shifting up, 41k, 43 and a half, 44, 45. So 46k with a cadence of 96, which is not bad. Going back up, shifting it to a lower gear, shift about 4 or 5 gear straight, no issue. No issue at all. Lovely.
It has been 2 weeks since I converted my Velo build from 2-bike to 1-bike, and here's what I found. Well, from a mechanical standpoint, there is no issue, no train drop throughout my commute, group ride or training at all. The shifting is been relatively smooth, doesn't really do anything with the front chainring anyway, but the whole things work relatively good for me. Happy to only spend $30 to get such an outcome, so can't really complain. And in terms of the gear ratio, I did lose a little bit of a gear range, particularly when I do the training, the hill climb training. I struggle a lot on that. Traditionally or in the past, I didn't really feel that would be that much of a trouble going uphill. But dropping 2 to 1, have a very limited ratio, and my ratio is more focused on the higher end speed. So when it comes to the hill climb, really struggle. So thinking about this, converting from 2-bike to 1-bike might not be everyone's cup of tea. If you live in a flat terrain like where I am, this is probably a good option. But if you are on a more hilly terrain, a lot of gear shifting, this might not be good. And you also need to consider dropping from 2-bike to 1-bike. You can compensate it by a bigger cassette, but might not be everyone's cup of tea to have a dinner plate like cassette on your bike either. So it is for someone, but it's not for everyone. For me, it's a keeper. One last thing I want to mention is about the handling. So since dropping out the chainring, I dropped it about 210 grams on the front mag as well as the chainring, but the handling is hugely different. I think it's probably because of the center of gravity where those weights are located. The handling, particularly cornering, become quite lively. I quite enjoy that lighted way of feeling. I'm still getting used to the bike though, just 2 weeks in, but I quite like it. So if you're thinking about converting yours from 2 to 1, or if you've already done so, you want to share some of your experience, please drop it in the comment box. And if you like this video, please put the like button as well as hit the subscribe button. As usual, keep on riding.
and sometimes drink some coffee.